forgetting stuff could be a gift. I don't always want to remember, bro, where I've been. You know what I'm saying? It could be a gift, but at the same time, remember what I have done. Remember me. Do this in remembrance of me. I did it. Don't put this on you.
Build a safe place with the door open, you know, for that generation to come in. Jerry and I, we're in that generation where we got grandkids now, right? Man, we're trying to get them on the ark.
Oh, wow. Rainbow's cool, man. And I think that's great. Every time you see a rainbow, you should think about that. But God really, he decided to put his wrath back in place. All right. Welcome back to another episode of the Altar Manhood Podcast. I got my man, Ralph. I got my man, Jerry.
Yo.
And we are starting a new series today. We're excited for it. I think it's going to be a blessing for you guys. And it is going to be on covenants. Mm-hmm. Now, don't go crazy about the fact that we're covering something so theological, because I really truly believe that it's going to be an impact, because there's great misunderstanding of the covenants. There's great misunderstanding of what they mean. Mm-hmm. You know, does one replace the other? Do they build on each other? So we're gonna expound and really look deep into these. But I want to kick it to you guys first. Ralph, what's your initial thought? You know, what is when somebody talks about the covenants that God has made with man?
Right.
What do you think?
No, I think the word that sticks out to me is relationship.
Right.
Like the first thing I think about is, you know what, man, God wants to have a relationship with me. He wants to have he created an agreement to bring me back to him.
Yes.
That's what I think when I think about covenant. Like It shows God's desire to be in relationship with me.
Yeah, and that's God's greatest desire, right?
Yeah.
His greatest desire is to be with us.
I mean, and right off the bat, I think it's Leviticus. It says, "I will be your God, and you will be my people."
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What a commitment that he has for us.
Wow, commitment. Wow.
Right off the bat, I'm committed to you. Mm-hmm. So with that commitment to us, may we respond with so much fervor. I mean, even when we mess up, we know he ain't backing down.
Right.
He doesn't move, right? We the ones that move or drift away. I just love that right off the bat, he's the initiator of the relationship, and he tells you how much he's committed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that's awesome. When we think about covenants, there's got to be two parties in the covenant, right?
Yeah.
There's got to be a greater party and a lesser party. And the greater party, in every covenant throughout Scripture, is God, because he's the initiator of the covenant, right? Can we really do anything apart from his ability or his will or his desire in our lives? And the answer truly is no. So one of the things I wanted to cover real quick is, what is the root word? Because everything derives from the Hebrew, and so we start thinking about, okay, what does covenant actually mean? And the covenant word in Hebrew is the word berith, I believe, if my memory serves me correctly, and that means treaty, alliance. But what's interesting, guys, is the root of berith is the word bara,
Okay.
B-A-R-A, which means to create, be created, or to cut. Now, I remember in a previous conversation we had, Jerry, that's one of the things that really stood out to you. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, in those days, the commitment was demonstrated by the act of cutting, and I believe, I'm not sure, but the sacrifices that were done at these ceremonies, they would cut an animal in half.
They would.
And they would walk through it.
The blood path.
The blood path.
You're absolutely correct.
And I think Genesis 5 demonstrates that. Am I correct?
Yep.
I think there's a demonstration of that with God does it with himself.
Yep.
Right? And that's what, right off the bat, we're like, whoa, we're going to mess it up. So God's already ahead of us. Yep. I just love the intentionality of that and the sacrifice that's displayed.
Yeah. And what's interesting, go ahead, Ralph, you got a thought on it?
No, I never thought about that.
Yeah.
God makes a covenant with himself.
Yeah.
Is that a picture of Jesus?
Yeah.
That's the picture of Jesus.
Yeah.
That's the picture of, hey, look, you can't mess this up.
That's right.
Because I'm going to fix it myself.
Because I'm going to fix it myself.
Because I have such a desire to be with you and in relationship with you that I know this ain't going to work, right? Wow. I know that you're going to mess it up. In fact, I think it's in Numbers too, but when you think about we talked about this before, there's the torch and then
That's
the
it.
smoking pot.
Yeah.
And so God calls out to Abraham. He says, I'm going to make a covenant with you. I'm going to cut a covenant with you. And he tells him to gather, I think it's, a bunch of different animals. There's 5 or 6 of them or so. And he goes, he gets in a ravine and he tells him to slaughter him in the ravine, cut him in half. And then he says, go ahead. This is the covenant I'm going to cut with you. And I think in one of the previous episodes, I got this wrong. I think it actually was the smoking pot goes first in this vision that he sees.
Okay.
And that's the idea of God showing up in fire, because that's what he does. God always shows up in fire. But then the torch comes second. And normally in a covenant, when you're cutting a covenant, you're going to walk through as the lesser party second. Abraham never walks through, Ralph. Abraham stands, watches the whole thing, and God sends the torch through second, symbolizing that he's going to send a lesser fire equal to himself. That's Jesus. I mean, come on, man. It's kind of ridiculous when you start thinking about all of those pieces together. And one of the interesting things for me is that continues to show us that he's going to reach down. He's going to reach down and step into our place, even from Abraham. Because what's the covenant with Abraham?
As I'll make your offspring as many as the stars are of the sky.
Father of many nations.
Yeah, father of many nations. Yeah.
Right.
Abraham, Isaac, Jacob.
That's correct. And that wasn't easy for Abraham.
Right.
And oftentimes in our lives, right?
Yeah.
The whole issue with Sarah, but oftentimes in our lives, he's going to give us something that we got to go do.
Right.
And we got to have the faith to know that, man, this covenant covers me even today. And what's interesting about that is that covenant doesn't really show up until Jeremiah 31, which is the new covenant.
Right.
So
I'll be your God, you be my people, right?
Absolutely. And I'm going to give you a new heart.
So this covenant, this idea of covenant, just going back to God making a covenant with himself, the lesser fire, being Jesus Christ. Like, God lays out for us this plan, and I'm thinking about all kind of stuff right now, but what I'm thinking about the covenant of marriage. I'm trying not to get too far ahead of us and take our time.
Let me interject real quick, because here's the thing. This still happens today. So this is a great guy. He's been around for forever doing this stuff with this Hebrew kind of understanding of our walk in Christianity. His name's Vander. Got great material out there. It's his ministry is called That the World May Know. And he tells a story about his time in Israel. He went to go with a Bedouin tribe, which still exists out there. They still do this in marriage ceremonies to this day. So they'll take an animal, they'll slaughter the animal, and then the father of the son, as the greater party, will step into the blood with his feet. And then he'll come out, and then the father of the daughter will then step into the pool of blood, and he'll step out. It's not even the kids that are consummating the marriage, it's the fathers. And what it actually means is that I am putting myself as a sacrifice on the altar as the father. I'm putting myself as a sacrifice on the altar as the father to make sure that this marriage is going to work, which is even a greater picture. But when you think about that, what's crazy is that culture still to this day, if one of those two are unfaithful, the father doesn't go find the unfaithful party. He goes and finds the other father. And Vander goes to tell this amazing story about how even in those times, because there's not really a justice system over there,
Right.
So they go administer their own justice. And he says that you'll find sometimes when this has happened and there's been conflict amongst tribes, that you'll find that other father of the unfaithful one dead in a wadi somewhere, which is just a ravine, right? Dead in a ravine somewhere because of his infidelity or his son's infidelity. Right, but the picture there just goes so deep, because that's kind of not to get negative, that's kind of a picture of us.
Yeah.
Right. If we had the inability to be faithful, and so God cut these covenants throughout the Old Testament, all leading up to the new covenant in Jeremiah 31, which then was fulfilled by Jesus.
Yeah.
And here we are.
Yep.
Receiving those covenants.
And I think the one you were talking about, the torch, I found it, Genesis 15.
Genesis 15.
Yeah,
Thank you.
it was the
We're all off.
Abraham covenant.
Yes, the
and
Abrahamic
it says,
covenant.
when the sun had gone down and it was dark, behold, a smoking firepot and a flaming torch passed between these two pieces. On that day, the Lord made a covenant with Abraham, saying, to your offspring, I will give you this land from the river of Egypt to the great river of Euphrates. I mean, that is talked about in Hebrews in the New
Yes,
Testament.
It is.
Right. Yeah.
So God is like, no, I got you.
Right.
That to me shows the grace of God. He's ahead of us.
Right.
He's got so much encouragement for us to tap into.
Right.
Just that intentionality here of like, hey, I'm gonna make a covenant and I got it.
Yeah.
You know, and it's interesting, you know, just staying with that same idea, that means our lives are not mistakes.
That's right.
That's right.
You know, so many times I'm reading in the New Testament, this was done to fulfill what the prophet said about. This was
Right.
done to fulfill what and it's kind of like God from the beginning of time had a plan for our life.
Yeah.
He did.
That means our lives as men, as women, you know, and obviously this is altered manhood. When we come under the blood covenant of Jesus Christ, God says, I have something for you. Like, I'm not going to give up on you. I'm going to remain faithful to you, right? But then we also have a responsibility, right? Within that covenant, God has many promises. And we focus so much on the promise, but I love that in this conversation, we're focused on the person.
Yeah.
This shows the character of God and who he is. This is who I will be to you, and this is who you will be to me.
You know, it reminds me of God's will and his, what do they call it? These theologians call it his permissive will.
His permissive will,
Right.
yeah.
And I was just meeting with a guy this past week, and you guys know how these things, you know, will come up all of a sudden. A guy refers you, you know, you get a referral to meet with a guy, and that's what this is about, right? Altered manhood is about us, even in the smaller, you know, opportunities to sit down with a guy that's struggling. And he kind of poured out his heart to me over lunch, and we're going through a bunch of stuff. And it's so funny that you think about, we're blessed because we come from a position of these covenants. Like, we get this, right? But there might be a guy out there that's like, dude, it's the first time I heard this.
Yeah.
Right? And I had to remind this guy the other day at lunch and tell him, say, listen, yeah, you may have made all of these mistakes in your past, right? But God is still sovereign. And I know a big turning point in my life was, instead of feeling guilty and beating myself up over my past, I was able to sit there and go, you know what? God didn't want me to make those decisions, but I made them, right? But I can trust that his covenants, his sovereignty, everything is still true, so I don't need to beat myself up anymore.
Right.
I wish I didn't do those things, but I can trust him that he's using that for the good for my future, because now I'm walking in alignment. I'm walking in covenant with him. I think that's huge for guys, Jerry. What do you think, man?
Well, I think when a guy, and we're talking about how does it apply to a man? Like, as a dad, as a husband, I feel when in covenant, God is saying, I ain't going anywhere.
That's right.
Let's live out this life. Let's live in the calling I've called you to. And I'm not going anywhere. I'm right here with you. And I think when you start a relationship with Jesus, when we said yes, what great confidence we have in walking that out. Obviously, he gives us his Holy Spirit to give us the power to do some amazing things. Because I know you look back at your life, how did I ever get past that? Or how did I do that? It is God covenant with you. Like, I got you. I'm going to help you. I'm going to be in every area of your life if you let me.
That's right.
Right? And that's what we talked about this past weekend, a surrendered life. And I just love God's love for us, that he wants us to know his all-encompassing will for us includes those covenants.
Yeah. I love it, man, because the one constant that we can always rely on is him. I know that's like cheesy, you know, church talk. Oh, we can rely on God. Well, yeah, but we can. I mean, he made these covenants thousands of years ago, and he has made good every single time.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. And this is the story of God's people. This is a story of us being grafted in as God's people. And so when I think about the importance of these covenants for the consistency of God, I think about it as a bedrock piece of material for a man to live an altered life. Right?
You know, one of the things personally, we all kind of shared our stories.
Yeah.
And I think one of the things that covenant does for me, I'm thinking about Jeremiah 1:5. Before you were in your mother's womb, I knew you.
Right.
Before I knit you together, I appointed you. Like, I had something in mind. You know, and when I think about that verse in my personal life, it speaks to identity, right? I'm not my past. I'm not my mistakes. I'm not the mistakes of my father. I'm not the neighborhood that I grew up in, right? All those are different parts of my story, but I am a child of God, right? He has put his spirit in me, and now I've been changed. I've been born again. And he's like, now, Ralph, I got an appointment for you. Don't miss the appointment. I've appointed you to something. It may not be a prophet to the nations. It may be the first saved, born again father in your family. It may be a husband that loves his wife. Maybe you're the first husband in your family to truly love a wife the way she's supposed to be loved. Maybe you're the first dad that is going to stay around for their kids and walk their daughter down the aisle. But all of that is a part of covenant and identity, right? And so I just want to encourage the men, like when we talk about this, you know, Hebrews 8:10 says, this is the covenant. I will be their God and they will be my people. Like you're engrafted in now. Yep. You're a part of God's plan for the earth. Like for real. Like you're fulfilling a part of God's promises in your life when you lean into covenant.
And I think you can walk in that confidence, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's big for men.
Covenant
right?
brings confidence.
Like covenant brings confidence. I think I put that on a t-shirt.
Cool.
That's coming on a t-shirt, man. That's good. Covenant brings confidence. Yeah, we're going to have to do that. So as we move forward in the conversation, I want to rewind a little bit too, because before Abraham was Noah.
Yeah.
And there's so many pictures in this one, man, that we can take to the bank, right? And so the summary of this, right, is the earth becomes extremely wicked, right? This is right between Adam and before Abraham, you have Noah. And right, you hear the famous story of the ark, and it's all nice, and they get you get all the animals. Well, the truth of the matter is it was bad.
Yeah.
The earth was a terribly wicked place, and God found one dude that he tried to reboot the earth with.
Yeah.
Right? And everyone's like, I mean, you guys probably run into this occasionally. You know, it's like, well, why does God allow bad things? You know, couldn't he just can he just start all over again? And why couldn't he? Well, he tried.
Yep.
That's the great response. You know, if you guys ever run into that out there and you're dealing with people, you know, as believers that are like, well, why did God just reboot? Well, he tried. And he did. Right? And what was interesting is after that, what happens with Noah? He falls right back into the same sin pattern. But what did God do? He made a covenant.
He made a covenant.
Right? Go ahead, Jerry. I know you're
Well,
itching to say something.
how he messed up is so funny because I can relate, right? It's like, I think he got drunk. He got naked.
Yep.
And there's a lot of symbolism there with his sons covering him up.
Yep.
Right.
You know, there's a lot more to it in there. But you're right. I think there is going to be an opportunity for us to mess up. And before there's judgment there. Like, I love when it says that God closed the door at the ark. Right? It's like, are you in or you're out? I'm giving you an option to come in. And you look at Noah. How many years did he take to build that ark in the middle of a desert with no rain? Over
It
what?
never rained. They're looking at him like he's crazy.
How in the world, right? Did he do that for what, 100 years? Going to Home Depot, get some wood, you know, get the
tar and
nails,
pitch. I'm like,
the
where'd you
tar
find that,
and
man?
pitch, and people are laughing at him. But Noah knew the competence and character of God.
He did.
And that's what kept him going, and those agreements that he had with him, and the understanding of how God has mercy. Man, I just love knowing that we love a God that is so just, but yet the grace of God is there to help us get through life. And man, what a great picture of that covenant there.
Yeah. One of the things that always sticks out to me too about Noah is, you know, the kid story you hear, right? God put a rainbow in the sky and he promised that he would never do this again. There's a much deeper meaning there. That Hebrew word can mean rainbow, but most of the time it means bow, as in bow of war. And so God
put a bow
took
in the
his
sky.
bow
Yeah.
and he put it away in the sky.
Yeah.
And he promised to never do that again to
Yeah.
people.
So good.
So good.
And when you
bro.
think about that, it's like, oh, wow, rainbow's cool, man. And I think that's great. Every time you see a rainbow, you should think about that. But God really, he decided to put his wrath back in place. Right? Or hold it back so that he wouldn't destroy the earth again. And when you think about the implication of that, well, that meant he needed to do what? Cut another covenant.
Yeah.
Right? Because we would still fail. Abraham would still have to come. He would still have to call him as his people, right? Call him to the promised land, do the smoking fire pot, do the torch, and make sure we knew that he was going to fix this because he wants to be with us.
You know, one of the things that sticks out to me about Noah, I'm sitting here looking at Genesis 7:1, then the Lord said to Noah, go into the ark, you and your whole family, because I have found you righteous in this generation. And, you know, when you read this, exactly. There's a wicked generation, bro.
Yeah.
And so, like, we look at the world right now.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? Like, our part in the world. And I kind of write about this in some writings that I'm doing. But I think every man is called to build an ark.
Ooh, you better keep going
Right?
on that.
Yeah.
So every man is called to build an ark in his generation. And you think about the wickedness that was going on. God literally brought judgment on everyone except for Noah and his family. Pause for a second. Noah's wife is never called righteous.
Come on.
His sons' wives are never called righteous. In fact, his sons are never called righteous. There's only one person that's called righteous in the story, and it's Noah.
Yeah.
And I look at that, and many times we allow the distractions of the world. So what that means to me is, what were Shem, Ham, and Japheth's wives? They came from a wicked generation.
I did.
But they were in covenant. They were covered by a dad.
Right.
Come on, bro.
Yeah.
Who was in covenant with God. So they were brought into the ark. And I think our goal, so how does that apply today? Man, despite what's going on in our country, our world, or whatever the case may be, man, build an ark for you and your family.
Yeah.
Build a safe place with the door open, you know, for that generation to come in. Jerry and I, we're in that generation where we got grandkids now, right? Man, we're trying to get them on the ark. Like, how can we get them on the ark? Because the reality of it is, Papa not going to be here all, you know what I'm saying?
Yep.
So will you be where Papa is going to be because he's in covenant with God, and just kind of ushering our children and our children's children? I think the story of the ark is so generational. And it's so based on the covenant that the father has with the father. And it blesses the family.
Yeah.
And we can't get distracted by what might be going on with those who are now brought into our family. We have to make sure that we push forward on the faithful covenant that we have with God. What do you think about that, Jared?
I'm thinking about 8 people that got saved in the ark, right? Because of one man. So the other 7, they got credited righteousness.
Come on, bro. Give me some. Give me some.
You know, they got imputed the righteousness of Noah. Man, that sounds pretty familiar in the New Testament. We got righteousness because of Jesus Christ. Because of one man, we benefit from.
We benefit.
Wow. For us, great point, Ralph. It's like God has given us an opportunity as we lead our families. Let's follow the model of Noah, but also, man, how Jesus Christ has modeled what we're called to do, to die for our families, to serve our families. And man, knowing that God is right there with us is just such a great picture of that back then.
Yeah.
I'll tell you guys, this hits home for me big time, because I remember maybe about a year ago or so, maybe a little bit more than that. You know, God's doing great work through women's ministries, and because we're starting to see some of the tightest stuff go on, where the older women are starting to mentor the younger women. They're starting to put these pieces together.
Right.
And my wife came home from one of her women's groups, and she looked at me and she says, "Thank you." And I'm like, okay, what? I just want to say thank you, because I was at my women's group, and one of the women was talking about the unbelievable responsibility you have for this family, and that God is looking at you. Because he ain't necessarily looking at me as the covering for the family, as the protector for the family, as the provider for the family. That falls on you. And I could have cried. I may have. I can't remember if I did or not. But man,
RESPECT, baby, right? She was showing you some of that respect.
but also the alignment factor, right? How many times How many times, and I know a lot of women listen to this podcast too, like how many times does that get missed?
Right.
Where, man, there's a massive amount of responsibility that falls on the man. And as men watching and listening to this, you guys feel it. I know you do. Because we've all felt it in this room. Every man I've ever dealt with, every man I've ever mentored, every man I've ever talked to that's in a position that they're trying to get their life together, they feel this weight. They feel this burden. And I can only imagine Noah feeling the same burden, feeling the same weight. You know, thinking to himself, man, I got to get this thing. But like God is literally wiping the earth clean right now, and it's going to restart with me. And that's not our situation, thank God, because of grace. But man, if you're a man out there, embrace this. Because there's also great reward with it. Yeah, you'll never have a greater satisfaction in your life than when you've created a great covering over your household and your kids are at peace and your wife is at peace and she's showing you respect and there's this great alignment in her understanding that you bear this great weight and she's your helper in the process. Yeah, your Azer
Connecto.
And when that begins to happen, guys, it's game over. I mean, all kinds of great stuff starts flowing into your life. Your parenting gets easier. I mean, all of these things get a lot easier.
And it's not, I don't see God looking for perfection,
Absolutely.
But he's looking for progress. It's like the kingdom of God is built on faith. Trust me, Abraham. Come on, Abraham. Come on, trust me. I'm going to, for us guys, we want A, B, and C. Yeah. Tell me where I'm going because it's going to help me better.
Give me the battle plan.
God is saying, no, take one step. Take another step.
Yep.
So there's a progress that God is looking for built on faith. Just enough light that I can see one step at a time.
Yep.
Because if he give you the whole plan, bro, you're going to run away.
Then this will happen next. Then this will happen next. You're like, we ain't doing this.
But sometimes we fall into that trap, Tim. That's a great point. We try to be perfect, and we can't. He is the one that's perfect, Jesus. He's our model. And at the same time, he's looking for progress for us to keep walking.
No, I think that's good because it can be overwhelming for a man.
It is, yeah.
Right? Okay, we nail the covenant. We understand that God's got our back, and now we want to take action and move forward. And it's like, I love the saying that as you grow as a Christian, you sin less but notice it more.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Right. And I think that's key for our listeners to understand. Like, hey, you're going to start living a much more righteous life. You're going to get your alignment in there. Everything. You're following. You're being obedient to God. You're lining up your life with Him. But all of a sudden, you mess up and you're like, don't let the enemy in there. Right. He's going to try to drag you back down. Right, Ralph? He's going to try to pull you down and try to make you forget about God's covenants. How many times do we see that in the Old Testament? And the people of Israel forgot the covenants.
They forgot the covenants.
But that was a train wreck.
Yeah.
My 12-year-old daughter right now is going through, she's reading the Bible in a year. Now, it's awesome that she's 12 and doing that, but it's also because she's a prolific reader. Yeah. So, it's all for the right reasons, but also because she loves to read. And she came out last night before bed and she says, we're going, I just finished up 1 Chronicles, and I'm into 1 Corinthians. And I'm like, it's like a yo-yo, isn't it, Naomi? And she's like, what do you mean? I'm like, good king, bad king, good king, bad king, bad king, bad king, bad king, good king. And she said to me, she said, well, they forgot. I said, you're darn right. Right?
That's
the enemy
great.
wants to make you forget.
Oh, yeah.
That God's got your back.
Isn't that the encouragement, though, where Jesus always says, remember?
Remember.
I mean, forgetting stuff could be a gift. I don't always want to remember, bro, where I've been. You know what I'm saying? It could be a gift, but at the same time, remember what I have done.
Yeah.
Remember me. Do this in remembrance of me. Right. I did it. Don't put this on you. You're not the one. I'm the one that's going to help you get through this. And I think for men, we're so perfectionist. We're trying to perform as we, sometimes say yes to Jesus, and right away we join a performance plan. It's like, I got to work for his blessing, or I got to work for his love. And he's saying through these covenants, right? It's like, I loved you the same yesterday, today, and forever. Yeah. My love doesn't change for you. It's constant. And for us who grew up in conditional love, some of us got only hugs when you got A's and B's. That's right. Or when we had a home run at the Little League game. You know what I'm saying? It's like, these are the things that we're conditioned and grown up. And as guys, we need to know that God doesn't operate that way. It's a whole new system with Him. So that's encouraging.
Well, I'm sitting here just listening to y'all, like that blood covenant that Jesus, at the Last Supper, do this in remembrance of me, is a sign of the covenant, right?
Yeah.
And so when I think about, when I boil it all down, when I think of covenant, I think of 4 different characteristics, so to speak, right? That we can, this whole idea of being imputed righteousness, that we can grab hold to. So the first thing as a man, the covenant is a promise, right? So do what I say what I mean, do it. You know what I'm saying? Say what I mean, right? When I say something, let your yes be yes, and we know. When I say I'm gonna do something, show up, right? That's a promise. And the second one is responsibility. Like, respond with the ability that you already have, right? So God has set a covenant in place. Like, we're only responsible for what we know. Yeah. So study the word. Get your family on the ark. You have a responsibility. Because at the end of I went to a funeral a week and a half ago, 2 weeks. Bro, there was no U-Haul. There was no bank, no one read bank statements. No one did. Man, amazing. This guy has so many investments. They trapped. None of that. They talked about his character.
Right.
The fact that he was a dad. That he was a faithful husband. And I'm sitting there and all of the things that you many times spend all your time doing and looking at has nothing to do with what happens on the day when you go into eternity. Right. And we gotta have an eternal mindset. The third one is blessing. Man, blessing your kids. We talked about the idea we were talking about Shabbat, right? Yep. Well, part of Shabbat is that blessing of the kids. Mm-hmm. I heard a story of this little girl. They still do Shabbat, and a part of it is when the father, he not only blesses his wife in front of everyone, but he also blesses his kids. Like, each kid gets a blessing every Friday.
Yeah. Amen.
Come on, bro.
What?
It's powerful, dude.
Yeah. And you're passing that down.
Yeah. So he blesses his wife in front of everyone. Then he turns around, he looks at each kid. Not just some general, I love you, you're my kid. No, here's what I see in you.
Yeah.
Here's who you are. Mm-hmm. I'm proud of you. I love you. I caught you doing something well. So this idea of blessing, right? And then it's the signs, the covenant, the rainbow, the Sabbath, the communion, right? It's the remembering. And I think we all have it in us to be able to establish some of these things when we show up. Like, I can do what I can make a promise and show up, right? I can take responsibility for my family. I can bless. I can speak life, right? All I got to do is process it and think through it before I open my mouth, right? And so the encouraging thing about covenant is when you experience it, it not only brings confidence, but it brings character and commitment, right? It brings the ability to show up in a really cool way because you understand what God has been and is for you. It's identity.
I love it.
I love the part about reading the word, Ralph. I think that's so... when you read these covenants, there's a lot of promises. Mm-hmm. And not a lot of explanations. So I think God is wanting you to trust me, to build that trust little by little. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It's like Abraham didn't get an explanation of where he was going.
Just go.
Just go.
And I think God works that way, where there's a lot of promises. And I believe, I just love what you said. You got to be reading, engaging the word. I love the Bible reading plan you were talking about. I've read the Bible chronologically. And a couple of years ago, I did a 1-year Bible plan, which was interesting because they do Old Testament, a Psalm, and a proverb, and then a New Testament passage. Mm-hmm. So you're reading these different things in one day. That's the reading. And it gets you through the Bible for the whole year. I think that's pretty awesome.
Right.
And in there, you start reading the promises of God. I believe there are about 36,000 Bible verses and 7,000 promises. Mm-hmm. If we can grab those promises, man, knowing that he's the God of covenant, that he's the ultimate promise keeper, that fuels me, encourages me. Confidence breeds competence. Right? I mean, the confidence that God puts in us, man, is going to make me competent for whatever he's called me to.
Whatever I'm going through.
Especially that one of the most important things in life is blessing your family, because that's going to ripple down into generations that you didn't even think about.
Right.
But he did.
Right.
So just to tack on what you were talking about with Shabbat, and I want to cover on trust too. I think it's huge. So there's an organization out there called the First Fruits of Zion. They produce a Shabbat for a Gentile. So we are
That's
not
us.
Jewish, right?
Yeah,
Like
that's
if you're not
I'm a
Jewish out
Gentile.
there and you're a Gentile and you're a Christian, whatever, like you can go up to the First Fruits of Zion. You can order. It's $15. We ordered it, and it is powerful. And all it does is just guide you. On the left-hand side, it's got the English. On the right-hand side, if you really want to learn, go crazy, learn Hebrew, you can. But there's just a couple passages that bring you through how to do it. And it's got certain parts of the year that you can do additional things if you want. But what was amazing is when you actually go through the blessing, you bless the boys as Ephraim and Manasseh. So the tribes, right, coming from Joseph, coming out of Egypt, so more of a Gentile understanding. And then when you bless the girls, your daughters, it's Sarah, Rebecca, Rachel, and Leah. And so it allows you kind of to draw these parallels. And it is so powerful because it gives you as a father the opportunity to speak the identity into your kids. I mean, imagine the power of that if we had that growing up. Right? We might have had it a little bit, right? But like your dad was like, hey, you're going to be a conqueror. You're going to be an amazing man of God. You're going to lead your family well. You're going to find a great wife. You're going to have amazing kids. I mean, the power of a father's voice into their kids is powerful like God's covenants in our life. Right? And when we can step into that trust, because so much of our lives are this desire to self-perform, right? I'm going to go out there and I'm going to push, I'm going to push, I'm going to push, I'm going to perform. Why don't we sit back and trust? And that was a major turning point in my life, all right? And I was given the title escapes me now, but I was given a book basically that walked through how you do this. It'll come back to me, we'll put it in the notes. But it totally transformed my ability to think of, okay, am I going to work for God or am I going to trust God? And it gave this great analogy of this split in the road where like, okay, over here is performance. Performance always makes you wear a mask because you always have to tell everybody how great you're doing. But trust, when we really step back and we trust, we can be transparent, we can be authentic. And I truly believe that's what these covenants do. That allow us to be able to sit in God's sovereignty and have that transparency and be able to sit there and have honest conversations. Because how do you grow if you don't? Right?
Absolutely. When you use that word sober, it reminded me when the Apostle Paul says, take a sober self-assessment of your life. In other words, look in the mirror and don't perform. Like take that mask off. That in the New Testament is written in Greek. The word sober in the Greek means mask. So he correlates it with us masking ourselves. And he says, as a believer, you got to take that mask off and see the true you for what it is and see how God can work through that. But man, that's sobering.
Yes. The book is called The Cure. We'll put it in the notes for this
awesome.
one. It's written by 3 pastors, put it together. It's written as a story, but it really does that. It takes you to it's coming back to me now. It takes you to the room of good intentions, which is wearing the mask. And this guy goes in this theoretical concept, or he goes to this room of good intention, and everyone's wearing a mask. You know what they're all saying to each other? I'm doing great. I'm doing great. But when they remove the mask, it's just train wreck, right?
Yeah.
And then he goes to the room of grace down the other path. He actually goes and tries out the room of good intentions like many of us do as believers.
Right.
Then he comes back down the path and he says, no, this is no good. And he goes down to the room of grace where there's no masks, where people are transparent and they're getting better because they're growing and they're in these trusting relationships.
Yeah, how have you seen men put a mask on?
Oh, gosh.
Just give us a couple of examples. I think guys out there can be saying, how can I identify that? How can I be aware that I'm doing it and I see it in other? What do you see?
Well, I think if you don't have a peace about where you are in your walk with God and you're not confessing or you're not dealing with a mentor or a brother that you're able to go ahead and be fully transparent with, I think that's your mask because I've worn it, right? I've not wanted somebody to know that the things that I struggle with because it make me appear weak.
Right.
When in reality, God doesn't want any of that, right? He doesn't care about you feeling weak. He cares about him making you strong.
Right.
And his formula for that is by stepping into him, trusting him, and confessing that. But I think a lot of guys in what I have dealt with is they want to give you about 10%. They don't want to give you the full 100. They want to tell you, yeah, my marriage is okay. No, your wife's like, she's melting down at home. You know, like that's what I've seen. As many men will just dip their toe in the water, maybe hoping that they will get, you'll read their mind, maybe. You'll pull something out of that. But that's what I've seen with men.
Yeah.
And I used to be that guy.
And we quickly default to I'm fine.
Yeah. Define fine.
Right? It's like
What's
I'm
fine?
good.
Yeah.
And I feel that
You're breathing? Well,
yeah, that's just such a quick like, hey, I'm doing okay. I don't want to go down that road.
Yeah.
And I think it takes time, man. But I remember watching some of our clips. Kevin Miller we had, he said it takes time to seek out those relationships where you will be able to, be authentic and be vulnerable. But that's important, guys. You need men in your lives that are going to look out for that mask that builds up. It's not like we put that mask down, it's going to be away forever. There's something in us that wants to put that mask on little by little. And by the time we know it, wow, we don't even realize it, man.
Pride, right?
Pride, yeah.
I think pride is what pride will kill you.
Yeah.
What do you think, Rob? Final thoughts. We can wrap this baby up.
That was quick.
Yeah, that was quick.
It's always quick.
Yeah,
always
it's
quick.
too quick. Man, I am sitting here thinking about the mask. Like Jerry said, the question he had around what mask do we wear? I'm thinking about selfish ambition.
Yeah.
Right? Like even in Christ, it's just like, man, I'm doing this for God, but really what you want is someone to say, man, you're so great.
That's right.
Dude, you're freaking awesome, man.
Yeah.
So glad you're my pastor, man. You're different than any other pastor.
Yeah.
Right? It's that selfish ambition, that validation. I think in my life, what and I just want to encourage everyone. This just happened this week. I've been going through these spiritual disciplines. It's a book that we use, and we can actually put it in the chat. But there's a lot of spiritual disciplines, bro. Like, there's a lot of them. I thought it was just a few of them. Like,
No.
But one of them is called contemplative prayer.
Yeah.
Contemplative prayer.
Tell me about that.
And it's basically just, to paint a picture, it's prayer that you do, like you sit still and you allow all your anxious thoughts to just kind of, shout out to one of the pastors, Pastor Jeannie in our church. She did an illustration with a mason jar, and she shook the mason jar up, right? And then let all the flakes that were in the water sink to the bottom so that you can connect clearly with God, right?
Oh, man.
And so that's when you're your most vulnerable, authentic self.
Yeah.
Truth telling.
Right.
Yeah. That's
But
good.
you got to sit still.
Yeah. And
You
it's
got to be
clear,
still.
right? That glass was so clear.
The glass was clear, and so when my gym time and, I got to pay these bills, or, man, I got to get my truck fixed, or I got to go to work and I got this project, and when all of that drops to the bottom of everything.
Right.
And you're face to face. Lord, who have you called me to be?
Mm-hmm.
Who am I? Then he can tell you without all the anxious thoughts, Ralph, this is who you are. I've called you. You're my beloved son.
Yeah.
I'm well pleased with you. Go and love your wife. Go and, hey, this son needs to hear this today. Not just, hey, love you guys today. No. So I think that when we exercise the muscle of connecting with God, we can really fulfill the promises and the covenant and the responsibilities that he has for us today.
Nailed it.
Yeah.
Today.
Amen.
That's it. Daily bread right now.
That's it.
So we got to slow down long enough to do that.
What is
So
that prayer? Give me enough for today
That's it.
so that I don't forget you tomorrow.
I don't fix you tomorrow. That's it.
Yeah.
Would you walk with me today?
Yep. Don't give me so much that I'll forget you.
That I'll forget you.
God is so good, man.
Yeah, man.
Talking about self-ambition, I once heard this, and it's not me that came up with it, but he says, nobody wants to change the world. They want to be known as a person who changed the world.
That's good.
So true, man.
Yeah. And you see that in a culture of social media, of, self-ambition, exposure and being famous. But God calls us to look to him to change the world.
Yeah.
He's inviting you into his story.
It's good.
And sometimes we get that
The other way
down,
around.
other way around. Yeah.
I heard a famous quote one time too, and I can't remember who this was, but it was very simple, and this is what we'll leave you guys with: is you want to change the world, go home and love your family.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that was Mother Teresa.
There you go.
Yeah.
I mean, a woman never married,
Yeah.
right? But she understood
The power.
the power.
Yeah.
So that's what we'll leave you with, you guys, today. Is you want to change the world, you want to embrace these covenants, start at home.
Yeah.
Start at home, loving your family well. So that's it for us in this episode. Ralph, Jerry, appreciate you guys. This is Altered Manhood signing off. Like, subscribe, share. And guys, give us your comments. Let us know your feedback. Send us something you want us to talk about in future episodes. And we'll go from there. Bless you
God
guys.
bless you guys. Peace.